Sell me these roses in Arabic and I'll pay you $100,000, the millionaire mocked, then froze in shock. The heat of the afternoon sun pressed down on the crowded marketplace as Aliyah arranged the last bundle of roses on her small wooden cart. She wiped the sweat from her forehead and glanced around, hoping today would bring enough customers to buy at least half of her flowers. Ever since her father fell sick, she had become the sole provider for her family, and every sale mattered. Her roses were bright, fragrant, and carefully nurtured in the small garden behind their crumbling home. To her, they weren't just flowers. They were survival. Aliyah straightened her hijab and called out softly to passers-by, "Fresh roses, beautiful roses." But most people walked past without even noticing her. Then a black luxury car rolled up to the side of the market, its shiny surface reflecting the sunlight like a mirror. People turned to look. Cars like that didn't belong in this part of town. The door opened and out stepped a tall man in an expensive suit, his watch gleaming like a diamond. Everyone recognized him instantly. Kareem al-Rashid, the arrogant young millionaire known for his real estate empire and even bigger ego. He wasn't here to buy flowers, he was here to be entertained. His eyes landed on Aliyah, small cart, worn clothes, tired face, and a smirk curled onto his lips. "Hey you," he called, walking toward her with his hands casually in his pockets. "How much for your roses?" Aliyah, surprised yet hopeful, answered politely, $10 for a bouquet, sir." Kareem chuckled loudly, drawing attention from nearby shopkeepers. $10 for these? You must be dreaming." Aliyah's cheeks flushed with embarrassment, but she didn't look away. "They're fresh, and I grew them myself," she said softly. He raised an eyebrow, amused. "All right then, let's make this interesting." He picked up a bouquet, spun it between his fingers, and said almost mockingly, "Sell me these roses in Arabic and I'll give you $100,000. People around them gasped. Aliyah's heart pounded. Was he serious? Or was this just another cruel joke from a rich man who loved humiliating the poor? Kareem leaned closer, waiting for her to stumble over her words, ready to laugh. But Aliyah inhaled deeply, her eyes sharpened, and instead of fear, something else rose within her. Courage, and she opened her mouth to speak. Kareem stood perfectly still, staring at the young woman in front of him as if she had suddenly become someone else. A moment ago she was just a poor rose seller, dusty from the streets, struggling to earn enough for a single meal. Now she stood with calm confidence, holding a simple rose as though it carried the weight of a forgotten world. Aliyah's voice had softened, but her words still echoed in his mind. He hadn't heard Arabic spoken like that in years, not since his mother passed away. No one spoke to him with that warmth, that sincerity, that gentleness. In his world of money, meetings, and manipulation, sincerity was a rare language. The marketplace around them buzzed with whispers, but Kareem didn't hear any of it. His mind was trapped in a memory, a tiny courtyard, the smell of jasmine, and his mother sitting with him under the setting sun, teaching him poetry. She always said, "People don't buy flowers with money, they buy them with emotion." It was the exact message Aliyah had just spoken. For the first time in years, something tightened in his chest. Aliyah, unsure of his silence, lowered her eyes respectfully. "If you don't want the roses, sir, it's okay. I'm sorry if I spoke too much." Her apology snapped Kareem out of his trance. You speak Arabic like someone who grew up with it," he said quietly, almost afraid of the answer. She nodded. "My grandmother taught me. She loved roses. She said every rose carries a story." The simplicity of her words hit him harder than he expected. Here he was, a man worth billions, mocking someone whose heart was filled with more richness than his entire empire. He swallowed hard. "What's your name?" "Aliyah," she replied softly. Kareem looked at the bouquet in her hands. For the first time, he didn't see street flowers. He saw memories. He saw meaning. He saw a reminder of the boy he used to be. Aliyah waited patiently, still unaware of how deeply she had shaken him. Finally, Kareem whispered, "Sell me the roses again the way you did before," not as a test, but because her words had touched a part of him he thought was long dead. Aliyah blinked in confusion when Kareem asked her to sell the roses again. Not mockingly, not arrogantly, but gently, almost respectfully. She hesitated, unsure if she had misunderstood him. You want me to say it again?" "Yes," he said, "exactly the same way." The marketplace grew quiet once more. Vendors leaned forward. Children stopped running. Even the wind seemed to pause. Aliyah held one rose delicately as though it were made of glass. She spoke softly, but her words carried power. A rose is not just a flower, sir. It is a message, a reminder. A promise that beauty survives even the hardest days. Kareem's jaw tightened. Her voice, her sincerity, her innocence. They touched him in a way nothing had in years. Then she added quietly, "Sometimes people don't need roses, they just need someone to see them." Kareem looked away for a moment, struggling to control the sudden ache inside his chest. Nobody had truly seen him since his mother died. Everyone saw only his money, his status, his name. But Aliyah, a girl from the streets, had somehow looked straight through all of that. He cleared his throat. "How much for all the roses?" Aliyah shrugged shyly. "All of them? Maybe $30, if you want them." The crowd gasped. $30 was nothing to a billionaire. But his next word stunned everyone. "I'll give you 100,000. Aliyah froze. The entire marketplace stopped breathing. Kareem continued, "But not because of the roses and not because of your Arabic." His voice grew quieter. "I'm paying for something far more rare." Aliyah whispered, "For what?" "For honesty," he said. "For reminding me of someone I lost. For speaking to me like I was a human being, not a millionaire." Aliyah's eyes filled with tears. She shook her head. "Sir, that is too much. I can't take that money. I'm just a—" Kareem stepped closer. "You're not just anything. You're someone who gave me back a memory I thought I'd never feel again." Then he handed her the check. Signed, sealed, undeniable. The crowd erupted in whispers, but Aliyah stood frozen, staring at the impossible gift in her hands. For the first time in her life, hope didn't feel distant. It felt real, warm, alive, and all because of a single rose.